Hello there, I'm Tommy. Welcome to Blitz Transmissions, and in this video, I'm here to talk about my first impressions of Skeleton Crew. Wow. What a breath of fresh air for Star Wars Skeleton Crew is. This show was so much fun to watch. I was getting very cautiously optimistic leading up to the show. I bought the wave of Hasbro's The Black Series figures, which gave you all four of the kids of the main cast, Jod Nawood and Pirate Captain Brutus. I reviewed them all here on the YouTube channel, and I'm really happy with them. They're awesome action figures, and it was building up some hype for the show. I started seeing some of the trailers for the show, and I was like, okay, they're starting to pull me in. You know, I watched a little bit of an extended roundtable that Star Wars and Lucasfilm put out with some of the creators of the show, and I'm like, okay, you know, they're kind of pulling me in. I'm kind of getting excited, but I knew better than to get too excited right off the bat before it came out. I've been burned a couple times by Star Wars in recent years. I'm sure you guys have as well, where I get really, really hyped for a show coming out, and then it ends up falling a little flat for me, to say the least. So I was really, really cautiously optimistic going into the show. And like I just said, this show is such a breath of fresh air as a Star Wars fan. This one is a great palate cleanser, I've seen a couple people say, and that's right on the money for what this show is. This show is a fun adventure. It's not central to the Skywalker saga, we're not dealing with legacy characters as of yet, and we're not dealing with any sort of giant overarching conflict like a galactic civil war or a clone war or anything like that. It's just a group of kids that live ordinary lives having an extraordinary adventure. I have to say, the kid actors do a fantastic job. I love each and every one of them. They have distinct, unique character traits. Fern is your bossy bad girl that doesn't like to follow the rules of the school, but it's not too on the nose. It's actually enjoyable to watch her be mean to some of the other characters. And then you have her counterpart, KB, who kind of pulls her back a little bit. KB's a lot more cool, calculated, and she does a great job of bringing Fern back to the ground as far as her ego goes from time to time. Wim is your main character. He is just your kid who's starry-eyed, wants to go on a big adventure. He's tired of his ordinary, mundane life day to day. He doesn't want to be in this very boring life that he lives. He wants to be something more, something greater, and that's how a lot of us were as kids. And then, of course, he has his counterpart, Neil, who Neil has completely stolen the show for me. He is perfect in every single way. His comedic timing is great, his line delivery is great, and I really have to give props to both the writers of the script and these child actors. They have done a fantastic job on both ends of just making everything feel so genuine. There are so many moments where there are things that, you know, I was worried watching the trailers that it would take me out, whether it was the very suburban setting of Aden, the planet that they live on, or things like the tassels on the hover bikes that the kids ride. It's very American things, especially 80s American, and none of it took me out. And that's because the story and the characters and the acting was so good. I also love the pirates. This show definitely still feels like Star Wars in that way too. Our opening scene is a pirate raid. They are not afraid to show people getting blasted in the face, getting beat up, getting cut down. Everything looks great. Particularly, Brutus is probably my favorite pirate. He has a great voice that fits the character. He's menacing, he's gnarly. I love everything about him. And the costume design, I really just have to say, the abundance of aliens in this show is something that's really keeping me in that Star Wars feel. With a lot of the recent Star Wars series on Disney Plus, I've noticed the human to alien aspect ratio is a bit off compared to what we're used to, especially with the original 6 movies. Namely, Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine. It's almost entirely humans on Tatooine, and that's just not something that we've ever been familiar with, seeing so many just humans. The Book of Boba Fett did the same thing for me, and there were even times in The Mandalorian where I was like, where are all the aliens at? This is Star Wars. And so far, Skeleton Crew has made me feel immersed by having just an immense amount of very unique, very different looking aliens, and I love that you get species species from like newer stuff, like the sequel trilogy, mixed in with species all the way back from the original trilogy, and it all feels so genuine. Everything looks so good, everything looks so cohesive, I'm loving it. The story is straightforward, it's fun, and I'm really enjoying the show so far. I've actually already rewatched the first episode over again, and I plan to rewatch the second one at least one more time before we get the third one in another week here. I'm also really loving the kind of mysticism of everything. There's mystery here. There's stuff that is kind of being dangled in front of you, but you can kind of piece it together. It seems to me that At Aden is this lost world. It's been made very clear by the people who live there that no one is allowed to come to the planet or leave the planet. Everything that they do is surrounding service to the Republic. However, I don't think it's the New Republic that everyone thinks it is. I think At Aden has been kind of lost in a time capsule. It's a lost planet to all these pirates. When the kids go to Port Borgo in the second episode, the pirate hideout, and they're talking to all these pirates, and it kind of finally gets mentioned that, you know, their planet, At Aden, no one knows where it is. It's a lost treasure planet, and that's a really cool idea. Another clue to this is Wim having Republic credits that have the prequel era Republic cog on it as opposed to the New Republic logo, which are two very distinctly different logos. The New Republic logo is very reminiscent to the Rebel Alliance Rising Phoenix, and the Republic cog looks completely different from that in the prequel trilogy. To also see a lot of the shock on the pirates' faces on Port Borgo when they see these, quote, mint condition Republic credits is very, very interesting. It adds to the intrigue. There's so much to this story, but nothing's kind of being, you know, dangled in front of me like a carrot on a stick, where it's never going to go anywhere like some recent Star Wars projects, not to name any names, but, you know, I've really been enjoying how everything just feels like it was planned out from the beginning, and it's all very cohesive. You can tell that the writers had a lot of fun writing this story. You can tell that the directors are having a lot of fun with the different shots, and the aliens, again, look great. The kid actors are great, and again, we just got a glimpse of Jadna Nawood, Jude Law's character, at the end of that second episode, and we get this idea that he might be a Jedi. Something tells me, though, that there's something a little bit more to this than being as simple as he's a Jedi. We've got a lot to look forward to with this show, in my opinion. I know in some of the trailers we saw some X-Wings. There's some speculation these are the Adelphi Rangers, led by Carson Teva. I find myself really excited and looking forward to watching the remainder of this series. Again, like I said in the beginning, this show is a palate cleanser. It is a breath of fresh air. There's no gravity to the situation like with the Ahsoka series or the Mandalorian, where we're dealing a lot with legacy characters. We're intertwining a lot with the direct plot of the Skywalker saga, the aftermath of the original trilogy, leading us into the sequel trilogy. This is a fun one-off story. It's lighthearted, it's fun. If you like things like The Goonies or Treasure Planet or any kind of pirate adventure, any sort of, you know, kids going on an extraordinary adventure, you're gonna love this show. I think this show is exactly what Star Wars needs right now, with how toxic the fandom can be and how polarized the fandom is on some of the recent projects, both movies and series. I think this is a great breath of fresh air for Star Wars. And I highly recommend you watch it. I think you'll enjoy these first couple episodes. I'm very optimistic that this tone and this great cohesiveness will continue through the remainder of the series. We're a quarter of the way through already because this is an 8-part series. We've already gotten through 2 episodes on this first week, and I'm looking forward to what's to come. My only big complaint with this show so far is that the second episode was so short. I wanted the second episode to be just as long as the first one because I'm so invested, and that's great. That's a great complaint to have early on. So guys, this is me telling you from one diehard Star Wars fan to another, definitely watch Skeleton Crew. It's a fun adventure. We don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of a lot of the lore. We don't have to worry about things breaking canon in this show so far. I'm really, really excited about this one, and I think you'll really enjoy it if you let yourself have a good time and relax and watch this fun show. If you would like to hear some more of my in-depth thoughts, along with thoughts from my fiance Jen, check out our podcast episode on the Blitzcast, which will be coming out later this week as of the uploading of this video. I'm very excited to talk more about Skeleton Crew at length, so if you want to follow along week to week, make sure to check out the Blitzcast here on YouTube as well as Spotify and some other podcasting platforms. So with that, guys, let me know in the comments how you're feeling about Skeleton Crew. Have you even bothered to watch it yet? I think you should. And if you have, let me know what you thought of it and if you're looking forward to the remainder of the series. And with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you for the next one. May the Force be with you.